bittersweet, but fitting. What a deceptive calling. I knew it was a lie the moment I heard it, obviously, but it is intriguing nonetheless. How can I resist a promise such as this? That was easier than I thought it would be. I always come back. You may not recognize me at first, but I assure you, it's still me.
What in the world? Who left this thing out? Oh, hey guys. What is up? I don't know what he was doing out and about already, but I will put him right here for now. Hello everyone, Skyweb33 here. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day so far. And today I am going to be showing you Springtrap. What? It's pretty cool, I know. So yeah, guys, I have officially, or mostly officially, finished Springtrap's head. So I am pretty stoked about that. A lot of people are asking if I'm going to build the rest of him. The plan is yes, but I have no clue how long it will take. I am very happy with how his head has turned out so far, and this whole video is probably going to be more on the long side because I'm going to go into detail on kind of how certain things work on this, and a lot of people are curious how the mask is able to open, so I'm going to show that off later as well. But yeah, before I get into showing him off, I just wanted to say that when I finish the entire costume, I'm going to make a part 2 to this episode, showing off the entire thing, kind of like I did my Molten Freddy showcase, and Lefty, how I did a part 1 for his head and then a part 2 for the entire costume. But I have honestly no clue when that video will come out. Without further ado, I guess we should just jump into it. Gotta get the G Fuel, this is gonna be a long episode. Still not sponsored, but I should be. This dude is surprisingly heavy, but very sturdy, and I quite actually love the way he turned out. I'm just gonna take him off of this tripod because that just makes things confusing, even though he is quite a heavy boy. So we'll start with his ears. As you can kind of see, there are wires coming out the top there, and holes galore with more little wires coming out. Like I said, I am planning on probably changing a few things, maybe adding more wires or dirtying him up a little more. But as of like recording this video, I figured he was done enough to make a video on him, so I hope you guys will at least enjoy that. But yeah, so his ears are attached to the head by a set of, what's it called, PVC pipe going through the head down here, and when I open it up you'll be able to see it better, but there is a little board that goes in here, and they're actually screwed in, so they're really securely mounted to the top of his head, so I don't really have to worry about it falling apart, even though it looks like it's falling apart, but it's supposed to do that, so you know, that's what it is. But yeah, so as you can see, I've got a number of different wires coming out of his head. These silver ones are actually an old USB charging cable I had that no longer worked, so I snipped it, and it just kind of looks really cool as like a spiral metal looking wire looking thing. And then a lot of the other ones are just copper wire, which this one's loose. Didn't mean for that to be loose. Oh well, I'll have to fix it later. As you can see, there is like a slight seam going around where I glued different patches of fabric. I decided to go ahead and like highlight it with like a green mossy color just to sort of make it stand out a little bit more. This guy I've been working on for a number of hours. I believe there is at least 7 or 8 live streams currently up over on my past live streams channel where I'm just doing nothing but working on Springtrap. So he's at least taken me 8 hours, and then I also know I have worked on him for a couple hours outside of streaming, so this dude has taken me quite a while. We'll see how the rest of him turns out, but as for his head, I'm stoked. But yeah, so these different colored patches is the exact same material, I just painted it a darker brown. A lot of people are saying that Springtrap is supposed to be like nearly solid green, but from what I have seen and observed, he is not actually fully green, it's just the environment he is in Five Nights at Freddy's 3 makes him look really green, like that. So I went ahead and kind of made him more of like a tan, and then I added like green, mossy, gross, mold looking paint all over him to kind of emulate the green. And then I made the ear top parts brown. When I was live streaming building him, I went ahead and told everyone that I'm not going for 100% accuracy with this character. I am going for more creepy and fun rather than accurate. So I know the color might be slightly different than most people are used to, but I think it just looks better personally rather than it just being a solid green rabbit, if that makes any sense. Alright, so I did try to make the hole pattern on the front here as close to the pictures I could see as possible, but then most of the pictures I saw of Springtrap were all from the front, so for the back of his head and sides of his head I kind of had to guess on what I should do for the hole pattern, which I kind of took a little bit of liberty, and on this side I actually did a scratch mark where it's like kind of looking like, who knows what this could be. Maybe he was fighting another animatronic, or maybe he was just trying to get the costume off of himself and literally just left scratch marks in his own head or something like that. I went ahead and added a little bit of like red paint to sort of simulate blood coming out of a lot of the holes. This one I put a ton on just to sort of show off because I kind of liked how it was looking. And then I put red paint around all the eyes and down here. And I didn't want to make it look too crazy, so I just sort of on the bottom here put red paint in little sections, looking like it was like dripping out as he was, you know, dying horribly. So here is the other side of his head. I went ahead and put wires coming out of this part. They actually don't go all the way to the skull underneath, they just stop where the hole ends, but I think from a distance it kind of looks cool. It's kind of hard to tell, but I'll try to get it to see. So on his nose, I actually put a bunch of scratch and crack marks on it, along with his teeth as well. You can kind of see that they are a little black towards the middle here because it's kind of like moldy, and then I put crack marks on each tooth, and then some of them I even went over with red and kind of splotted it on there to kind of look like blood was everywhere. Along with like the different holes and stuff, I put a lot of red on this guy kind of coming out of the cracks and seams and things. And on the bottom you can kind of see as well there's some red, and then where the seams are I put lots of green and then splotches of green and different things like that. And on the back of his ear I put this really big hole. You can actually kind of see in there's a wooden dowel rod that I kind of painted silver to sort of simulate like part of an endoskeleton going up into here, and you can also kind of see it sticking out of the middle there as well. Whew, I'm talking so much I'm losing my breath. Another thing you might notice is on Springtrap in the games and stuff, he doesn't have quite as many large holes as I put on this one, because like I said earlier, I was going for more scary authenticity kind of thing rather than 100% accurate. So one of the things I did was I noticed on the original right here there is like a darker patch of fur to kind of simulate, I would say, like a tear like section. He had like one on both sides where it was kind of looking like similar to like the puppet or the crying child, but it was really just like a darker patch of green. The way I went ahead and got around that was I actually cut it as a full hole so you could see the gross skull monstrosity between there, and then I went back through with a coat hanger wire and stuck it through to kind of look like the foam or the fabric fell off of the costume. Which I think it just looks way cooler because from the side you can actually see into the costume and see that there's like human teeth inside of there. Now before we get into the rest of the costume, I do have a couple of announcements I want to tell you guys. Before you click away, you might actually want to know this one because it's pretty cool and I am actually really excited for it, so please don't skip this part. So a lot of you guys know that I have a series that I've been working on for nearly a year. I started production in January and I just finished editing and putting everything up on my channel literally yesterday. So I'm very excited to announce that tomorrow it is going to become a public series for you guys to all check out. I am really excited for you guys to see it because I've just put so much work into it, and it's not Five Nights at Freddy's or Bendy and the Ink Machine or anything like that. It's like an original concept I've kind of come up with. Now, if you're curious what the storyline is for it, it's pretty much my character, Skywarp33, is doing mundane things and having like weird flashbacks to things, and then suddenly a creepy evil monster version of himself bursts through the wall and tries to murder him, and it's like, go, run away. And then the first option you get is, would you like to run away from this creepy monstrosity outside or inside? And depending on what choice you make, it just goes out from there. Now, the concept of the video, if you haven't seen the trailer, is like a choose your own adventure style of video. So if you know Markiplier or A Date with Markiplier, it's that exact same concept where at the end of each video it gives you two choices and you can click on them and it'll bring you to other videos, and you can go down literally a tree kind of path and see different things that happen, and depending on the choices you make, different things will happen in the series. But wait, there's more! I know you guys love shoutouts, so as of right now, before the video comes live, the first three people to comment on each video from When Fate Comes Knocking, that's the name of the series, I will give a shout out in my next either puppet showcase or video relating to When Fate Comes Knocking, like a behind the scenes thing. I will give you guys a shout out on that. So there is a total of 22 videos, so all you have to do to get the shout out is be one of the first three people to comment anything on each video, as long as it's not like vulgar. That just mess up your chances. So yeah, that gives you a little bit of like, I guess, incentive to be the first to actually watch it when it comes out, because I will give you a shout out. So I hope you guys will actually check it out, because I put a lot of work into it, and I hope you guys will enjoy. Coming out tomorrow, please check it out. I've spent so long on it, and I've spent 5 minutes explaining this. I'm probably gonna cut this down. Alright guys, now for the part you've all been waiting for. So, a lot of people, especially on my TikTok and in the live streams, are curious how I got his head to open so easily. Well, it wasn't easy, but I'll show you anyway. So, if you're curious and you're not sure what I mean, his head is able to fully open all the way to reveal the gross, creepy skull on the inside. I guess I'll show off the skull real quick. A lot of people say he kind of looks like if Red Skull from Marvel was put inside an animatronic, which I kind of get that, but the reason I kind of went for this look was I was kind of going for more of a realistic skull rather than like a weird lumpy thing with like two eye holes and a mouth. So I wanted to actually make it look like a creepy skull and stuff, so that's what I did. And yeah, so I actually took an old Iron Man helmet that I got and turned it into the skull here. You can kind of see on the top that there's lines. When I use it, you can't really tell, but I pretty much ripped off the Iron Man face and put a skull on it, so kind of ends up being kind of fun. And then to sort of simulate the spring locks and stuff, I put conduit tubing kind of going across different areas, and then I put hot glue over the ends of it to kind of make it look like it goes into like the flesh, especially right here on the face and down here. I actually really like this one right here, because when I open the mouth really wide, it stretches a little bit, so it's just like a thing right here and it goes like, rah! It's kind of spooky. So as you can see, he is actually able to open all the way like so, so I can actually be wearing my head in this part and walk around with his mask kind of like this, just flopping around on the back of his head, which I think ends up looking really cool. But as you can kind of see, let's see here. Ooh. See if the light will help. So this is the little wooden part that attaches the ears. You can kind of see a little square here and a little square there. There is a screw and hot glue and stuff that goes into the PVC pipe that holds on the ears. And then this wooden part is attached to this part that has been painted black but was originally blue and yellow. And it is actually a mop handle. It is super glued and screwed in through the actual head here. Right here and here are two of the joints, and when I move it, it just sort of bends right there. So I'll try to show it to you as best as I can. So it is attached to the back of the head like this. I did a light coat of black paint, but it's probably going to scratch off a bunch, so it'll be a thing I'll have to repair down the line and all that. But as you can kind of see, when he moves, this is it fully closed. You can kind of see I cut a square section out of here, and that this is the joint itself. So it rotates all the way back and is glued on through here. I went ahead and put like a, what's the word for it? I put like a soft pad material on the back of the head to cover up the hard wooden plate that this piece is screwed into, so that I don't have to worry about it flopping or ripping through the foam that is the head. So it is actually very secure and it works really well. If you're wondering what this piece is, when I was building his head originally, let's see if I can show it off easily enough, I realized, so this is me standing straight, but his head kind of angles upright like so. And I was like, wait, that doesn't look right, because you can see like the whole back of his head and everything. Kind of like with my lefty, which looks correct, but then when I wear it, it's at an angle where like the back of my head is visible. So I built this extra section that falls down and has a magnet on it that magnetizes to the back of the head to kind of round it out. From the side, it looks a little bit better, even though there is a seam going around, and on the back of the head you can kind of see the seam still. But I just think it makes it look a little bit more correct, if that makes sense. So it's a light magnet, it's not strong or anything, it just really keeps this piece from flopping all around when I'm like walking. There is pretty much a black piece of strap that goes under the foam or under the felt right here, and the magnet itself is just right up here painted black, and then there's a little metal ball that I glued in right there. So the reason it still is able to open is because when I open it, it just pops it off and becomes kind of a free swinging part, and then it's able to fully rotate all the way around like so. The reason I didn't just make the back of the head extend down was because the whole mechanic of the head being able to open, if I made this part attached to this part, it wouldn't be able to open all the way. It would be able to open maybe like this far, which I could definitely deal with, but I really like the idea of him being able to fully take off the top of his head and kind of walk around like this, if that makes any sense. So I hope that definitely explains what I'm talking about. Alrighty guys, I think that is about it. I went ahead and didn't actually build him eyeballs, which some of you might realize and kind of be upset about, but I personally think he looks better without the eyes. I did go through a number of different kinds of eyeballs that I was trying to see if it would work, but just the way that the head is made and the way I can see out, if I used those, I wouldn't actually be able to see when I was walking with him. I had these left over from when I was building Funtime Foxy originally, and I was like, oh, I can put these in or something kind of like that. I didn't like how that looked. I was like, okay, that's kind of dumb. I found these little black strap balls or whatever they're called. I don't know what they're called. That's probably the official name, but they have a hole going through them. I thought I could glue it on something like this, but then I just didn't really like the way it looked, and I felt that they would be too small anyway. So then I took a piece of one of those push button lights. I cut the top part out and made it like a plastic disc, and I still think this could have worked if I trimmed it a little bit more, but the only thing is this is not opaque enough to be able to see through. So if I did glue it on here, I would have literally no vision. So I went ahead and sacrificed making him actual eyeballs to just make them the lights that come out of the skull here. Personally, I think it still makes him look really creepy. I know some people really wanted me to add eyeballs, but just because of the functionality of the mask and me wanting to wear it to conventions and stuff and being able to see, I had to just scrap that idea. Alrighty guys, now for a couple comparisons. We've got my original Spring Bonnie mask. Now this thing is paper mache and foam. It's pretty light and I think doesn't look great because I'm not a fan of like the muzzle I ended up making for him. I still think he looks okay, but I prefer not wearing it anymore just because I'm not the biggest fan of how it turned out. But in comparison to Springtrap, as you can see, it is actually a lot smaller than Springtrap. He ended up being very large just because of the concept of having to build the skull head and then the mask part on top, but I still think they look really cool next to each other. So if you see Spring Bonnie here disappear and get replaced with Springtrap up here, that's probably why, because I just kind of like the way Springtrap looks better. And here is my brand new Enard mask, which I really like how this thing turned out. As you can see, it is a lot smaller, which, kind of fun fact, so I actually used the same skull mask off of Amazon to build both Enard's face here and Springtrap's face here, or William Afton's dead corpse face. As you can kind of see, literally I used the exact same mask, I just covered this one in wires and painted it black, and this one I added wires coming out of the face, made it a full skull head, and painted it red. So kind of a little sneak peek. This guy I made custom teeth for it, and this one I kept the original teeth. Though both masks I had to cut the bottom jaw off to actually make it able to open and close on both of these guys. So the original mask I got off of Amazon for like 15 bucks, and it was like a solid mask. I had to actually cut it up to make it be able to work. Alrighty guys, this video is getting crazy long. I just have a couple more things I want to go over real quick before I end it, so stay tuned. I will go ahead and put on Springtrap for just a minute just to sort of show you guys how he actually goes on my face. The way he works is when he's like this, it's too small to actually get my head in just because I have a really large head. So I kind of have to hinge his jaw forward like so. So this is it normally, and I have to hinge it forward kind of like that, which it stretches far enough to get on my head. As you can kind of see in there, you can see the two white pieces are the back of the tea lights where there are switches on them where I can turn it off and on. And there is a little foam strip here to help my nose. I think I'm definitely going to try to modify the way it sits on my head just so it doesn't like hurt. But at the moment, this is how it is. So here we go. Pop it on, line everything up. Then I have to move the jaw under mine. So I pick it up, put it down. In doing so, I'm able to move the mouth, so I can be like, kind of a thing. So it's able to lift up, I can look around, and everything. So with the black mask on, you can't see my actual face underneath, so it looks pretty cool. So I'm just like, or something like that. This is what it looks like from the side. And I lift it up and over. So as you can see, it still works. I can like move around. It's just a little bit cumbersome. One last thing to note is, yes, I do know Springtrap's head ended up being a lot larger than I originally intended, but the way I'm going to sort of counterbalance that is I plan on making the costume itself for Springtrap larger. So I'm going to put him back over here. So like I said before, I'm not planning on going for 100% accuracy, but I do want to make Springtrap much larger. So I'm actually going to be recycling original Enard's feet that I made a while back that were tall feet. These things I had problems with because I didn't put a good grip on the bottom, and they were flat-footed and heavy, so my feet would just kind of lift out of them. I'm going to try to modify both of these to make my feet not come out of them, and I'll put like a grip on the bottom and everything, just because Springtrap has weird metal feet, and I thought it would be kind of cool to reuse these, plus they just look really cool. So I know it's not accurate, but I think it would be really neat to just have Springtrap having really large wiry feet coming out. Also planning on building large gloves for him, which kind of extend my hand a little bit to be like a little bit longer, so not only will I be much taller and have longer arms, the character itself will just look larger. So that's how I am going to get around the fact that his head is a lot larger than I originally intended. Alrighty guys, this video has been crazy long. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have any suggestions for future characters, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I am currently building Five Nights at Freddy's 1 Freddy, the original one, to sort of replace my FNAF 2 Freddy that looks horrible. So this is probably going to be my next puppet I'm working on, but feel free to suggest other characters or franchises for me to work out of. Now, if you didn't know, I actually just launched a Discord server, so there will be a link in the description if you want to join that. I am actually kind of on it quite frequently, so you can chat with me every once in a while, and sometimes I will actually be in the voice chat. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. I know, it's kind of a lost cause at this rate, but I want to get verified. So please help me out with that at Skywarp33. If you want to support me, feel free to click the join button, and all you really get is custom emojis for live streams, and the only real reason to do so is if you want to support me, so feel free to do that if you can, or you can just subscribe. Alright, with that much being said, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. This video is crazy long. I hope I can publish it in time. Don't forget to check out When Fate Comes Knocking tomorrow. And yeah, bye. Have a good one, guys. God bless.